Coming up, the Chevy Blazer EV hits the production line ready for launch. Zeekr enters the European market with 2 exciting EV models. GM Energy launches their new bundles for Ultium home customers. Mack's MD electric truck and Tesla. Are they preparing for a third-party app store? Well, thanks for watching. I'm Martin Lee. We go live at 5 p.m. UK, midday Eastern. There's a summary here on YouTube and a longer version of this show on podcast, where we dig into the stories a little bit deeper. Patreon supporters get the episodes as soon as they're ready and ad-free. Be like them by clicking on the link in the video description below. The Chevy Blazer EV is hitting the production line ready for launch. The first one has been rolled off the production line at the General Motors plant. GM expects a successful year, they say, with their new Ultium-based electric models, being led by the Blazer EV. There's a high-performance version of that, which is getting people really excited, the SS version. 557 horsepower, 0 to 60, less than 4 seconds. And the first Chevy electric model to receive this SS name and that trim. Blazer EV comes in 5 trims in total, with 247 to 320 miles of range, depending on which one you go for. Sales begin this summer. Pricing will start at $45,000. That's for the version which comes a little bit later. The SS version, I think, will be $70,000. So plenty to choose from. Still sad that the Bolt and the Bolt EUV will be ending production at the end of this year, but hopefully their Blazer is filling a bit of a gap. Now, Zeekr, the Chinese electric car brand owned by Geely, has just started sales of 2 of its electric models here in Europe, the 001 and the X. They've gone on sale in the Netherlands and Sweden, marking their entry into the European market for car sales. The 001 starts at €60,000. It's a longer car. It's a 5-metre long shooting brake. Big battery in this. It's a 100 kilowatt hour battery, 620 kilometres of range. Whereas the Zeekr X starts at €45,000 in the Netherlands. More of a compact SUV, 69 kilowatt hour battery in this, 440 kilometres of range. So deliveries begin in those 2 countries in the autumn. Zeekr plans to expand to other countries in Western Europe by 2026. For my UK viewers, not sure about right-hand drive versions though. Now, GM Energy is introducing 3 new bundles for Ultium home customers, and you haven't got to have one of their Ultium vehicles to make the most of this, but let me explain. Details and specifications announced by GM Energy for their upcoming Ultium home products. For residential customers to have more energy independence and resiliency, the products include a bundle based on vehicle to home. So if you have an Ultium vehicle, you can use that to provide power to your home. Another bundle option is for customers who want to combine V2H with stationary storage. So they'll sell you a home storage battery, very much like Tesla, but alongside vehicle to home. So you'll have your home battery storage to charge up from your excess solar or your generation when the car isn't in the driveway. Then when the car is at home, it will both charge your home battery and the car. But then if you need to, pull from the car as well, which is different, of course, to Tesla. And finally, there's a bundle for those who don't have an Ultium car but want to get into the Ultium home products. There's a battery and the inverter and all that kind of stuff. They all connect to the GM Energy Cloud platform for energy management. Mack trucks are next in the news. They announced their MD electric medium-duty electric vehicle, now available to order in Class 6 or Class 7 ratings, also exempt from the federal excise tax as well. Developed specifically for medium-duty applications, the MD electric is approved to be part of California's zero-emission truck and bus voucher project as well. Moving on to Tesla, and they are preparing to support third-party apps, if this report is to be believed, and maybe launching the Tesla App Store finally. I remember back in 2012 when the Model S was around and people saw that big screen and Elon Musk was talking about an app store and some third-party apps, maybe using HTML5 or maybe something natively, and well, fast forward 11 years and we're still talking about the Tesla App Store, which is still not here yet. But there is a basic third-party app service through an unofficial API at the moment. Elon has previously mentioned app mirroring from your phone to the screen, like Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. But now users have spotted a new section in the settings area called Manage Third-Party Apps. That would indicate that the code is ready for more of an official app store and third-party apps, and developers can get on board with that, and hopefully a community will spring up. Oh, there's no doubt a community will spring up of developers who want to put apps into the App Store, sell you an app as well, maybe to make the cars better or more functional, or use your car as more entertainment or a working space. And that would be just a huge thing for every installed user who has a Tesla at the minute, but also to give it an advantage over other EV makers. And there's just such a bigger opportunity. 2 million vehicles a year they can make, at least for now, and that's only going to increase. So it's a big opportunity for potential developers. Let's see if that happens. Hopefully sometime soon. Hopefully we won't be waiting another 11 years. I doubt it. Also, Tesla's been waiting to advertise in a traditional sense, and now they are placing ads on Google for the first time after Mr. Musk at the shareholder event, was that in May, wasn't it, expressed a willingness to try dip his toe in the water with some regular advertising. Tesla always get, I suppose, credited with selling so many vehicles without advertising, but of course that oversimplifies the situation. The referral program, the word of mouth, the YouTube stuff that they've done, the content that they have made which gets the name out there, that's all a form of marketing. But yeah, they haven't bought ads in print magazines or Google AdWords, but now they are. The ads on Google promote Model 3, Model Y, solar and supercharging, and we'll see if it moves the needle at all, and if it promotes the brand in a way that makes people buy more of those cars, or maybe they're just doing it for some positive brand attributes or not. Well, we'll wait and see. It's a new move for their advertising strategy. Let's talk a little bit next about Kempower, expanding production in Finland. I love the Kempower hardware. It's so good. I love the cable management. I love that you can take the screen that you see with you on your phone, just scan the code and walk away, and then you can see the state of charge of your car, the charge rate, all of that. It's brilliant. Their new facility will double their production capacity in Europe. Of course, Kempower also will, by the end of the year, will be making hardware in the US as well. Renault will be turning up at the Goodwood Festival of Speed with a bunch of electrified cars and electric cars like the new Renault R5 Turbo 3E, rally-inspired car, carbon fibre bodywork, 2 rear motors on the rear axle. Also turning up with their Renault 5 prototype and the Renault 4 Ever trophy, and some road cars like the Megane E-Tech, which is 100% electric as well. The Goodwood Festival of Speed is in the middle of July. Now, a brand that aren't really into EVs at the minute, but they'll need to be because everyone will need to be, Infiniti. Infiniti recently held a meeting for their North American dealers to address concerns about the future lineup. They provided 4 upcoming models as previews, including 2 electric ones. The flagship will be the QX80. And there's loads of details on that because it's a combustion car. But as for the first all-electric model, the new Q70 sedan, that is, very little is known apart from it's sometime around 2026. They also said there'll be another electric one in 2027, but gave no more details. Dealers were greeting that news with some excitement, but also lack of confidence in the ability to come to the market with some compelling EVs from the Infiniti brand. Now let's move on. ABB, the big electronics giant, has opened up a new manufacturing facility in Virginia to support their motion traction business. They're making inverters and batteries for their transportation industry businesses like construction, mining, electric buses. It's a $6 million plant with 100 workers and jobs created there. Let's also talk about BMW initiating construction of their new EV battery plant. It's in South Carolina, and they've just broken ground on the $700 million facility. That's where the high-voltage batteries are going to be made, in Woodruff, South Carolina, because the vehicles are going to be made in Spartanburg, and the plant is being built in order to meet the demand for their electric vehicles, which will be made on US soil, and the move highlights BMW's commitment to make both the batteries and the vehicles there in the US. Now, the Biden administration is going to allocate $2 billion from the Inflation Reduction Act to support the transition to EVs in the US for those struggling. The funding will be used to accelerate domestic EV manufacturing and revive anyone who's struggling at the minute, prioritising projects that either refurbish or retool existing plants. Of course, you'd presume some union jobs are in there as well that they want to protect. As the automotive economy goes through a huge shift with even things like repair workers, I don't think fully, some of them do, some of them don't fully understand the shift that is coming and the risk to their jobs if their business is fixing combustion cars. There'll be just less of them to fix in the future. The White House is also embarking on a tour of southern states. The Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm is travelling across the South to promote clean energy and the tax credits available through this recent legislation. So much of the investment is being done in those areas, and yet so many of those states have representatives which tend to be more Republican, and some of those Republican lawmakers are still opposing all of this money being invested in future technologies, which is ironic because those are the states which are, at the minute, many of them benefiting from the creation of great new jobs, loads of money being spent. Lots of these projects are all happening in the Carolinas, and they're going to drop into Tennessee as well, and do a tour of the area to say, hey, look, these areas of the US are getting a huge amount of investment at the minute. Stop pushing back against this investment. Now, let's talk Chevy Silverado, the Chevy Silverado EV, and my buddy Tom Malogny, who I do the Friday morning podcast with. I say Friday morning, it's Friday afternoon for me, but it's normally at 9:30 Eastern on a Friday morning. He's got a great YouTube channel, State of Charge. He's the world's leading expert on recharging electric vehicles. He's been checking out the Chevy Silverado EV and the Offboard power system. 10.2 kilowatts of power as standard. Battery pack 200 plus kilowatt hours on the big battery. So you want to get access to that for contractors, for camping, for weekends away. If your house loses power, it's got a 240 volt 30 amp outlet and then 6 more 120 volt 20 amp outlets. There's also an additional power bar you can buy. No details on that yet, which adds another 3 kilowatts of power output. That's huge. I mean, 13 kilowatts of power from a car would keep a building site going, a work site, or even, like I say, your house if you reduced it to the essentials for maybe 2 or 3 weeks. Here in the UK, the Advertising Standards Authority has banned ads from Toyota. Hyundai have been included as well for over-exaggerating how quickly one of the cars, the Ioniq 5, charged. But Toyota have been hauled over the coals for claiming that their BZ4X model could be charged to 80% in around 30 minutes if you used 150 kilowatts DC fast charger. The Advertising Standards Authority in the UK found that to be misleading, concluding that it omitted material information about factors that would significantly affect charging times, and Toyota have been banned from advertising and had their knuckles rapped. We are not surprised. Toyota's advertising around EV has been lacking for years. Well, mainly they've been advertising against EVs, and they're actually making one. They still can't get their advertising right. What do you do? The German federal court has just ruled, the Dieselgate saga rumbles on, that car makers, Audi, Mercedes-Benz and Volkswagen, must compensate owners of diesel cars equipped with these illegal emissions manipulation devices. Now, previously, more local level courts had sided with the car makers, but the federal court has said that owners can claim between 5 and 15% of the purchase price of their car because these defeat devices, this illegal software, has reduce the valuation of their vehicles, and the ruling will have direct implications for similar lawsuits currently being brought. Look, this Dieselgate saga has rumbled on for far too long. It's still affecting the car makers. Executives are behind bars. It's just time to stop talking about diesel, and the quicker they move to pure EV power and just draw a line under this really murky period in all their histories, the better for them, the better for their bottom line, the better for the air that we all breathe, right? And finally, a Cox Automotive study has been done that shows, well, what you and I probably know, but If you want to put the numbers behind it, they spoke to over 1,000 people and over 100 dealers as well. 51% of respondents said they'd buy a new or used EV as their next vehicle. It's over half now, which is a really big deal. But some dealers are saying they still feel underprepared for an electric future, with 45% saying that EVs need to prove themselves, and also that the car makers themselves need to do more to support the dealerships. I'll pop links to all of those stories in the show notes below. Longer version of the podcast in audio form, where we have a bit more of a chit chat about all of those stories and dive into a bunch more detail. Thank you very much for watching the YouTube version of the show. I love getting the comments because we've just started this back up after just today's the second day we started putting it back on YouTube, and I think the best way to do it is to have a shorter version for YouTube, because that's just the way that YouTube works. People are in a hurry and etc. Rather than putting the whole half-hour show on, I think that's the best way to do it. If I'm wrong, or maybe you want both, let me know, and we'll try and get it right. I'm just experimenting. We'll give this a go. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. And remember, there is no such thing as a self-charging hybrid.